All right, hey everybody, welcome to the weekend show. Got a special guest here, Mr. Jamie Brasher, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
You may know him from such shows as Ranko Does the Tat. he was the guy in the back eating dust.
That's right.
So I wanted to get Jamie on here to talk about a whole bunch of different things. But so Jamie, tell us, and we're just drinking straight vodka today, everybody. It's just a full glass with ice. It's just water. Calm down, everybody.
Yeah. A little sip.
I have a secret ingredient back here if we need it later. But so Jamie, how do you know me?
From high school. We knew each other back in 1985, 6, 7, 8. Right, yeah, give or take. All right. Yeah. We both grew up in Jackson and went to Northside High School there. We were in the band.
That's Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee.
For those of you who
That's
don't
right,
know.
for you out-of-towners. And Rankin and I were friends, but not super close. We were just sort of acquaintance friends, because we all kind of did the same stuff. We were in the marching band, which, a lot of places you're kind of a nerd, but at our school, it was cool to be in the band. Cause
you were kind of cool if you were
the band. Well, our band was awesome. I mean, we were winning awards left and right, and
we were out doing the football team for trophies.
The football parents and players got pissed off because at halftime everybody would leave after the band had performed. Everybody was there because the football team was sucking at that time.
That's right, but we were happy. Sorry, folks, I had to adjust that a little bit. So we were in band together, and then we kind of knew. Well, my grandfather had a car dealership, and then your dad bought that from my grandfather. Mm-hmm. So
so though you Jackson folks might remember
Middlebrooks Motors,
right?
And then
it
became
was Frank Brasher Buick Pontiac GMC. That was through most of the 80s and early 90s.
Yep. So if you were buying Pontiacs and all those cars, you had
Grand
to go...
Ams and Grand Prix and
that's right.
Fieros.
Ooh.
I thought the Fiero was the coolest,
the
man.
Pontiac 6000.
Oh, man.
No. My dad had one of those. Wow, what a terrible car. But anyway, the Fiero. So funny story about those. When those came out, my grandfather got two of them. He got a red one and a white one, and he gave them to my brothers to drive around town with a Middlebrooks Motors sign in the back, right? So he let them drive them to high school and all that so they could get...
Look, those were hot items because I remember my father telling me stories about having Fiero stolen off the lot.
Oh, wow.
That they would come in and it was small enough. It was, set real low. It's just a little two-seater, but it was kind of cool at the time. But yeah, they came and snatched a couple of them off the lot. Yeah, all right. I said, I might have a Fiero now just to push around the yard, but that'd be about it.
No, my brother found out, so they decided to get one of them out on the interstate on 40 and get it going as fast as it could. And they said they got it up to right at 90 miles an hour. And he said you could feel the front tires drifting around because it was starting to lift.
That's right. Yeah. That's when the pucker factor got real
because
tight.
The way they designed it, evidently there was too much air getting under the car. And because it was mid-engine, there was nothing in the front of the car. And so it would start to lift. He said you could feel the steering just get real light and loose all of a sudden.
I had the very same experience with Eric Clannon, another good friend of ours. We did the same thing in a Grand Am. But it took it to about 120 before it got light, and it started to get really loose in the front, and I started to get really scared. I said because I couldn't feel the road, and I was 17, and I thought I was full of vim and vigor, but when I started to feel like I really didn't have control of that car, I started to get skirt.
Yeah, unfortunately, my Pinto station wagon would not achieve those kind of
maybe 30
performance.
Now, see, that'll be a throwback to Joe Fry and how you guys had to.
That's
get that
right,
thing
Joe
home.
Fry getting a shout out. Yeah, Joe Fry.
We were talking about you earlier, Joe.
So for a lot of people that are watching this, there's going to be a lot of talk about the TransAmerica Trail, which I did on this bike with Jamie, and he had his bike, and I'll put a picture in when we start talking about TransAmerica Trail. But I'll give you a timestamp to where you can skip forward maybe and not hear all the Jackson banter.
If you're a tat person.
Yeah, if you're just here to see the tat stuff, that's totally fine, and I'm totally cool with that. So I'll maybe give you a timestamp of when all that motorcycle stuff starts. But yeah, so we were talking about Joe Fry, who is now a U.S. Marshal and Mr. Awesome and just an all-around good dude. But my grandfather owned the Hertz and National Car Rental at the airport, the international airport.
McKellar International.
International. I don't know where internationally they're flying.
I don't know,
there,
maybe
but,
St. Louis. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he had traded for that Pinto. Some guy needed an airplane ticket, and my grandfather gave him $75 for that car because it had brand new tires on it. Mm-hmm. And so my grandfather was like, $75, I can take tires off it and crush it. And then,
that's right. And still probably be okay.
Make some money. Yeah. And so I asked my grandfather, I was like, can I have that car? And he's like, yeah, but it smokes like crazy. So it evidently had one piston was bad, had bad rings. So somehow, and I don't even know how this happened, Joe might know, and he can comment below if he remembers, but
or call in now.
Yeah.
No, wait.
This
no, not live.
No, yeah. And so we went out to the airport, got this car, and it was smoking so bad from the top cover where it was having blow by. Mm-hmm. So the little vent tube that came off the blow by that's supposed to feed it back into the carburetor, there was so much it would choke the carb out. So we took a garden hose.
Rednecks.
And we took a garden hose, ran it under and out the back to where the exhaust pipe was. Right?
Yep.
So then I've got no license plate on this car. And so Joe follows me so close, behind me that nobody can get between us. Mm-hmm. And we drive all the way from the airport.
You're probably smoking him out the whole way. How can he even see?
He said he couldn't see most of the time.
I think you guys are dusting for mosquitoes.
And so we drove all the way home, and to which my dad was like, how did you get that car here with no license plate? And I was like, and he was like, not happy about that.
Don't even tell me.
Yeah. But eventually that car became an iconic North Side.
It did. When you splatter painted it. And,
so it was primer gray and had a yellow front fender and a yellow driver door when I got it. Fortunately, it was all already in primer, so that was good. Mm-hmm. So I took it into my grandfather's paint shop at Middlebrooks Motors and taped off all the chrome that was on it, and got some actual Ford white, loaded up a spray gun and painted it really nice white, and then I got the brightest green, the brightest red, the brightest blue, and the brightest yellow from the paint store. And that paint was actually just latex.
Like paint. House paint.
Yeah, it was just house paint. And so I'd stuck screwdrivers, like big fat, like Stanley screwdrivers in it, and just sling it, right? So it'd make these long...
Just modern art style.
Little strips. Yeah. And I kept all the chrome and everything taped, and the windows taped and all that. Mm-hmm. And then dunked my hands in some paint and...
So you don't have to post a picture of that.
I'll put a picture.
If you got a good color picture.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I think I have a sweet one with my mullet when I'm kind of leaning out of it.
Tops.
Yeah,
and the pegged jeans. Did you peg your jeans?
There's probably
something somewhere. Maybe not a picture, but it happened. Yeah.
And so that kind of became a cool iconic.
Well, and then you had the Gonzo. For the hood ornament.
Yeah, and at one point I actually did an airbrush thing on the hood, and then I got rid of that. And,
right. Yeah, that was a cool car.
It was. You could in the summer I'd take the doors off and the back hatchback and drive it around like the Fantasy Island mobile.
Oh, really? I didn't remember.
Yeah.
You doing that.
Yeah. I did it a couple nights on the McDonald's cruise where you go North Island up to McDonald's and back
down to the Racket Club.
And
Racket Ball Club.
And people would dive in the back because it was just wide open at that point. I'm sure it was completely illegal.
I'm totally. Well, it was the 80s.
Yeah, nobody cared.
Yeah, it was all right.
So it was fine.
Yep. That was an awesome car.
But we had a lot of good times. Yeah, it was McDonald's down to the Racket Club.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine who went to Southside, and I was like, "Well, did you ever cruise? Was that your thing?" I mean, I said that was a North Side thing,
right?
Up and down to the parking lot there behind McDonald's and service merchandise, right? Yeah. Everybody would kind of gather there, and then whenever you were done farting around there, you'd cruise down Highland, hit Carriage House, come back up. But she was like, "No, we would go to like Henderson." I was like, "Oh, well, that sounds cool."
Yeah, no, we were
not really.
We were doing laps up and down Highland, basically.
Yeah, I can remember talking about Eric again. We would ride around in his dad's Jeep because we were talking about Jeeps before, not your Grand Cherokees or those kind, but the Wrangler style, the real Jeep with the tops off and everything. And so those are
remember
great days.
Did you remember? Did you know Lee Thompson?
Yeah.
So he had a Jeep.
Yeah.
And we used to get in that Jeep and
Look, that was my fantasy vehicle for many years.
Oh, yeah.
I said, I got to have a Jeep CJ. I want a CJ. Yeah. I mean, I can remember be like 7 or 8 years old. And but I wanted a Jeep CJ.
My grandfather was selling them on the car lot, but it was when it was AMC. And so they had the Scramblers, which were awesome, But I've had 7 Jeeps now. I just sold one, so we'll see if I buy another one. But
now you're in grown-up cars.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Big Ford F-250s.
That's right.
Yeah, grown-up stuff. Just,
Well, we just came back from lunch, and I had to crawl in and out of the thing. I'm 6'1", and still I was like...
I got big Ford F.
Bring the step stool around so I can climb up in it, take a run.
And it's stock too, though. It's not lifted. It doesn't have big tires on it.
It looks like it is.
Yeah, and that's the way it came from the factory. Yeah. So she's a beast.
Yeah, she's a monster. Yeah,
she pulls all my trailers and campers and fun stuff. So, so you're still living in Jackson. And I'm living up here in the Pegram, the P-Town. Yep. And so we try to get together every once in a while with some of our buddies. And we had a good little reunion here this weekend with Bill and Eric and had a good time. And
you know who you are.
You know who you are. And they wouldn't care if we said their last names, but, who knows? You never know.
Well, everybody was erasing videos after that night.
Yeah, we did a late night video that was a little...
Well, it was an early morning. I think it started around 2:30.
Well, it was good, though. We had April and a few people in other countries who decided
April Oliver, if you're watching.
She joined in it.
It was 8 o'clock on Sunday morning. She was getting ready to go to church, and we were hammered. And we decided Aunt Rankin says, let's do a Facebook Live. Okay.
Because that's the best idea.
It always is.
When you're a little drunk, go, that sounds
Let's put
good.
Something out on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, that'll just
everyone
be there.
can see anytime they want to.
That's a great idea.
Well, so we got up the next morning, and Rankin was like, I deleted that. It was only like us and the 8 people who were awake at that time that saw it, and anybody else to come back afterward would not be.
And then it got deleted. So I think Esteban was the only one who hung out for the majority of it.
Yeah,
so.
we'd be sitting at 1. Who's watching?
Yeah, I don't know what time it was in Costa Rica at that time, but anyway, I don't know.
Where's Costa Rica? South America.
Yeah, I don't know what the time.
Probably just an hour, maybe or two.
So. He can comment in there.
Come on, Esteban, tell us what the time zone is compared to Central America. Not Central America, U.S. Central Time, not Central America.
Welcome to Geography by Jamie.
That's right. It's not that good.
It's gonna be a whole new show. She's just doing it. Hey, we got a ladybug up there on the light there.
Oh man, I thought it dim. dim.
Yeah,
all of a sudden.
She's flying around up there. All right, so let's talk about. So my dad passed away not quite 2 years.
When did he pass? When?
It was in April of 18, right?
Because I was about to try to pinpoint the weekend you came back, where this whole idea, where the whole idea for riding the Tat came from you and got to me. Is you would come home for a weekend to visit your father while he was ill.
He'd be in the hospital. And
that was the night you pitched the idea.
Yeah, so my dad had been in intensive care, and so I was kind of staying there with him, and I'm fortunate enough to have the kind of job where I could just tell my clients, my dad's sick, I'm not working, I'm going home. So I was able to have that freedom, which I thank the Lord for, because I got to be with my dad the entire time, and I actually got to be with him when he passed. So that was a big deal for me. But in all that, in anybody who knows, if you actually stay in a hospital for any amount of time with a family member, it gets very, very depressing and very draining on you. So you kind of need things to go do. So I thought one night, I was like, well, maybe I'll get together with a bunch of my buddies, and that'll help me kind of just cope a little bit and go out and have a couple beers and just hang with some of my friends. And so did I just put that out on Facebook?
Yeah, you just said, hey, I'm in town.
And so you and I hadn't even really talked or anything. I mean,
not
we
really.
just kinda,
no, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably like a lot of people are that have known each other for a long time. Facebook. That's one of the beautiful things I love about Facebook is
Absolutely.
that I kind of stay connected to somebody without being connected to them. You get to see what they look like, their kids, their families, their whatever's going on. So you still feel kind of connected to them, even though you haven't seen them. So at that same time that Rankin was going through that, I was wrapping up a almost 23-year marriage with a fine divorce. Not really. So he was going through a major difficulty.
I've been there twice. I have 2 T-shirts for that.
Just one for me. So, and maybe that'll be the only one. But so he and I were both struggling with some major life stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Totally life.
And so here we are. So it was a hey, let's go. It was at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep. And so I kind of put out the feeler. I said, hey guys, I kind of want to do this. And I think maybe you commented and said, hey, Buffalo Wild Wings is a good place where we kind of go. And so I said, all right, well, that's fine. Let's do Buffalo Wild Wings, and we'll all just meet over there and kind of, and we ended up with a pretty large group.
There was maybe 8 or 10 of us that showed up at the peak of it. Yeah.
And so we started talking about this. So if you don't know what the TAT is, it's called the TransAmerica Trail, and it is a trail that a guy has created that goes from North Carolina. Now, there's a bunch of people that say it goes from Virginia and whatever. The original TAT goes from North Carolina all the way to Oregon. So I bought a Garmin Montana 680 for the TransAmerica Trail, because what it does, you have all these waypoints that Sam, the guy who originally tracked this, and he updates it based on if roads get closed or changed or whatever. So you have to order these maps, and so you can get them. So I ordered North Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, North Georgia, and Arkansas, because I figured that'd be a good swatch. And so you basically load these in as waypoint or as little files, and so you'd have a track. So in Tennessee, I think there was like 20. Don't quote me on this, but maybe like 25 tracks. So we'd ride, and on the GPS, it's Jamie's following, and it basically tells you how to get through those, and then you load each track. So that's how you navigate it. But we had to order a bunch of stuff in the meantime.
Yeah, this is not a just on a whim kind of a trip. You had to have some pretty good planning. You had to have the right kind of gear.
Yeah,
you just don't go out, because we were, as Rankin said, many times, most of the time, as a matter of fact, we were very much isolated. We were in places where there was no population. If you needed help, you had to rely on yourself, So if the brakes broke or you broke, you had to have first aid. You have.
Well, you got extra inner tubes. You got, you're carrying. I had extra oil with me, extra inner tubes, tire tools, a pump, electric pump. Every tool you need. I've got a toolbox back up under this little thing. It's a little tool tube, and so every time I would work on the bike in prep, I would always use that set of tools.
That's good.
So that way, if I couldn't fix it, I'm like, oh, well, crap, what am I going to do in the real world?
Add that
right.
Tool
so
to
I
my
need
kit.
Right. So, and then I found out there was tools that I wasn't using that I kind of had to slender, because every ounce you put on the bike affects the way it rides, handles, all that stuff. So you try to be as lean and light as you possibly can be. And if it's extra stuff, it better really have a purpose.
Which is why we did a pre-camp.
Which was, did you come up with that idea?
I think that was yours.
I can't remember. I think I said we need to do something, because before we just hit the trail, cold.
Willy-nilly, yeah.
Yeah. And
I think it was the weekend before, maybe a couple weeks before.
It was a couple of weeks, because I said if we're going to do it, let's have some time, that if we need to order some Amazon.
Well, yeah, it was right. It was a good shakedown to see is what we have, what we need.
Yeah.
Do we have stuff we don't need? So we said let's gear up. Let's put on our riding gear.
Yep.
Let's pack the bikes exactly like we're leaving. And so Rankin rode down to Jackson. We stopped for lunch at Red Bones, Jackson folks.
Yep.
And but then we went riding for a while. I think we went up to like Milan.
Yeah, because we wanted to kind of make it like feel how the bike's fully loaded.
Right. Let's ride them. And we were also making sure that our communications, we have both had
Sennas.
Right, a helmet communication, so that we could talk to each other while we were on the road, which was probably the best thing.
Yeah, super important too for safety reasons.
But not only could we communicate, hey, there's a big rock, but we could just talk. If we were on a stretch of road, that's we're talking about, how Rank and I were were not super close friends in high school, that here in the last 2 years we've become best of friends, because and a lot of it started with that trip, because once again, it's kind of like, I don't mean to try to draw a comparison, but you imagine, soldiers in war or whatever. I'm not talking about what they're going through, but when you're sharing a kind of a same troubled experience, not troubled experience, but we were sharing the same kind of experience, and we were relying on each other.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's more that if we are in the middle of nowhere and I go down and break my leg,
right?
Well, I hope the person that I'm with is,
right. That's the analogy I was trying to make kind of to the military, is that they rely on each other. And
Jamie was in the military, so don't give him any crap.
Right, that's sir. Yeah. Come on. But that's the thing. Is when you are in a situation where you definitely have to have trust in the other person.
Sure.
So that's, we developed that then, and that's just continued since. So, I mean, we're not taking hot showers or nothing, but we're friends.
We slept in separate
Don't get
tents,
crazy,
so
right? Yeah. He's a big snorer. I'd be 20 feet away, and it's like a bear over there.
This guy, he doesn't. What? It's because I was much fatter then.
Yeah, so he's lean and mean now.
I dropped like 40 pounds, which I'm sure my bike would have. Which my bike would have appreciated at the time. Feel like, dude, fat boy, get off. But anyway, so this would be a good time. I think it's fun. So I've got a box back here that's a mystery box that Jamie doesn't know it's in. It's rattlesnakes. But we're going to do some snake handling. It's going to be great.
Okay. Praise Jesus.
But so we ended up doing this camping trip, which was absolutely brilliant, because it immediately, for me, I was like, okay, I don't need that. That's too much. This is no good. But also, I need that. I need this. That's a great idea. Whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
found out that my tent was maybe not as watertight as I thought it was. It didn't really rain on us, but it got dewy and had a little water in my tent just from leaking seams. So I was like, yeah, time to invest in a new tent.
Weak bladder?
No. So, just stuff like that. So that here, I'm gonna crack open the box here. This will be fun.
So it's a surprise for all of us. Oh, yes.
All right. So Here was one of the things this was a Jamie contribution that I will tell you was a lifesaver. Now, this is going to seem really stupid to take on a motorcycle trip. And mine, I'll be honest with you, Jamie, mine stays in my camper now.
Well, I've taken mine. Has been to set up outside.
It got consolidated to the camper. So this little guy folds out like this.
Sorry, microphone.
And it goes like that. And then, Now, this seems, I don't know. Does it seem maybe like a little too much to most people?
A little not campy.
Yeah, a little like, oh, really? But let me tell you what happens is, right? So it makes this really, and it's sturdy. I mean, this thing it's heavy. It's super lightweight. So what this did was we would get to camp every night. Well, Jamie already had this. And so we got ready to cook that night. And I'm cooking on the ground with my little stove, and I'm trying to keep it level because it's going to fall over. And I'm just using one of those little burner stoves, just with a little small gas canister, little tripod. And mainly what we did was heating water. I mean, because we were doing dehydrated meals and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
Mountain House, the stuff you can get from Gander Mountain.
Yeah, you can get it.
It's just a little dehydrated thing. You put boiling water in it. In 2 minutes.
And then I would make coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. But the greatest thing in the world was, and we both had these. I'm not going to set up all this stuff. You guys know what this stuff is. So I got a Helinox chair. So this is one of those ultralight chairs that sets out. So the first thing we would do, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but I wanted to get into the fun box here. Mm-hmm. But what we would do is, first thing I learned to do, sit down, put your chair up, put your table up, and take your boots off. Mm-hmm. First thing. Before you do anything, do all that, and then you'll put on your comfy shoes that you're going to do camp in, and then you can start doing the rest of the stuff. But if
you'd learn to pack these things last, when you'd break camp in the morning, you'd put the stuff you needed first on last. So that when you got stopped, that was the first thing. I need to be able to sit down and take off all this gear. Well, you need a chair.
And I would leave mine set up till the very end anyway, because I usually have a cup of coffee sitting on there. And my boots would be sitting next to it. So I had to sit down and put my boots on. So I'd sit down drink the last bit of coffee, wipe out my coffee mug, put it in my thing, pack these up, and put them right on top. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of just
They are lightweight, and they add so much to your camping experience. But they add almost no weight to the bike.
And way more than I would have ever thought, because I was kind of like, oh, Jamie brought a table.
What a woman.
Way to go, Jamie.
Not to say anything wrong about women.
Because I actually had the thought that I was going to use this top box as my table a lot of times.
That you were going to stand behind it?
Yeah. I mean, just to, I'll put whatever.
And you did use that.
Yeah,
but not for sitting around.
But here was the problem. Every time I had to get something out of that top box,
you had to upend all your tabletop.
Yeah, so in my top box I kept, we'll go over that in a little bit, but I kept, and also there's a video of me that I did a full unload after the tat of this bike, and I pulled it in here and I unloaded it literally as loaded from the tat. Mm-hmm. So if you can hunt that down, and maybe I'll put a link to that in the bottom of this video so you can see it. But anyway, this table, Amazon, it wasn't, I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't much. It wasn't expensive. And so it comes with its own little carry case and all that. So I use this, stays in my RV camper now because it's great.
It's just a great little table for whatever. I mean, if you're sitting down
right there,
because that was the thing. I mean, that's the other part of the tat is it's camping trip, right? So at the end of the day, after your ride, you're going to set up camp and you're going to sit around and you're going to cook some supper and you're going to talk about the day and, the cool parts of the ride, tough parts of the ride, you know?
Yeah.
And so a little comfort at camp was welcome.
Absolutely. And kind of going backwards a little bit here, part of the deal with Jamie and I, and me convincing him, pulling him along the way to go on this trip, was I needed to get away because my dad had passed away. And I needed a break. I needed to, because I was... my dad was my hero. Then when you lose something like that, it's just, I needed some time to
reset.
And absolutely. But I knew I couldn't do it by myself, and it wasn't smart for me to do it by myself. And so with Jamie going through what he was going through, I felt like, I don't mean this in a bad way. I felt like if I pressure him hard enough, he'll do something that'll change. Well, that he'll change his life. And it's so, and I've talked about this plenty of times, but it's so easy in life to just say, well, maybe someday I'll do that, or, well, I can't really do that because it'll cost too much money, or I can't. And I know Jamie feels this way and I totally feel this way. I made memories riding the tat that I will remember till the day I'm on my deathbed. Like it was life changing.
It really was. It really was. And I think that's part of our conversation here, is to just, share with whoever's watching, whoever might need to hear this, as they say these days, not just the fun of the ride, but kind of what a life changing thing it can be, because we were both coming out of really difficult life circumstances. I liken it to squeezing out a dirty sponge. I said, the sponge isn't completely clean, but man, once you wring it out, it's a whole lot better than it was before. And I said we were both just full of kind of stuff that was bringing us down. And, it's not stuff that people don't, it's common. I mean,
absolutely.
We lose our parents, divorces happen, life changes. I mean, it's common, but it doesn't make it not hurt, doesn't make it not,
absolutely
disrupt you. And so, for me, it was, hell yeah, I need to do something for me. Because for a lot of people who've been divorced, you think of your life in terms of being with your partner, right? You don't think of yourself individually.
Yeah.
And so, the bulk of my life had been planned around, well, what does my family want? And if my family was happy, then I was happy, because I really and truly was. I didn't feel like I was denying myself, but I hadn't really explored what made me individually happy. And a lot of it I had to go all the way back to my teenage years before I got involved. And what was I doing then? I was riding four-wheelers, riding motorcycles. We were going to the river. We were camping. Big thing for me as a kid was going to float the Buffalo River. For anybody that knows where that is, just a canoeing river. And we camp, and that was so much fun.
Yep.
So I said, that's what I found for me in my heart and soul. What was being fed by that was these things that gave me happiness then,
right,
and then I found them again, and it was a
well. And we had a lot of long talks about. a past marriage of mine, and that I had gone through extremely very similar situation that he had gone through. So I felt like I could help and offer some light on the other end of that tunnel that I'd been through, but I'd never lost a parent, and I was in uncharted territory for that. And so, yeah, exactly. And so I just felt like this is somebody who's ripe to go with me.
This is not just some dude, hey, want to go ride?
Yeah, exactly.
This is somebody who needs this ride.
Yeah. And I just felt like through our conversations that it would turn into probably a lifelong friendship and be a hell of a lot of fun, to be honest with you. I talk about it being therapeutic, but it was also two idiots riding motorcycles through the Natahala Forest and through the Cherokee Forest. And
what was the cartoon? I forget.
King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
Dang it, Bobby.
Quit playing with your Peter.
What in the hell? So we would... And the other thing that Jamie and I talked about with the TransAmerica Trail, which a lot of people I hear that are doing the trail or preparing to do the trail, we had talked from day one about having no expectation of how many miles we would do in a day or where we would get to or any of that. Because I said, I don't know. I've never done it. Neither have you. Mm-mm. I don't know how many miles we can knock out in a day. And of course, it's all going to depend on weather. It's going to depend on how we're feeling.
Here's two late 40s guys at the time, a little portly, so who knew what we just didn't know. There was a lot of unknowns. So, we decided early on that the ride was the destination, right? Yep. Being on the trail, we were already there.
Yep.
So it was when you get tired, let's start looking for a campsite. You know, when you get hungry, all right, well, either we're going to stop and make some lunch with what we've got, or we're close enough to some little small town. We're going to hop off the trail and grab a bite to eat at a restaurant or something. Yep. Grab some AC, because man, we did this ride in July. Woo, hot!
It was
June,
it was June, but it was
sweltering hot.
It was blazing hot, and we're in full gear.
Right.
I mean, full face helmets, full padded everything. Right.
If you've seen, anybody riding motorcycles like that, we're not in leather, like Harley guys. We were dressed in essentially body armor. All of our we wore jackets that had padding in the elbows, the shoulders, the back. Full face helmets, padded pants, boots, gloves, the whole thing. And because it looked cool, even though it did, it was because that's the only thing between you and the ground.
Yeah.
If you go down.
Yeah.
That's whatever you're wearing is the only protection you have. So don't skimp on it.
Yeah. No, that was the stuff that was important. But so my goal too was being very freed up. Part of that, not having an agenda of where we had to be, was I only pre-booked one place to stay.
That was our first night.
And that was our first night before we got on the trail. We stayed at a KOA at one of the little rustic cabins, because that was going to be a day mainly of just it was all street riding.
Yeah, we rode for like 3 hours just to get to the trailhead. Right?
Oh,
we started here at Rankin's house in Pegram, and drove to North Carolina, or just this side of North Carolina.
Yeah,
we camped.
I can't remember what town that was that we stayed in, but we stayed in a little KOA and rented one of those little cabins, which those on motorcycle camp are fantastic, because it's just what you need, because you already have your sleeping bag and stuff, and so you can just kind of go in there and crash out, and they're not very expensive. And so we did that. So then the next morning we had about a 3-hour ride, and it was
all rain,
threatening rain to the left, to the right, and then at one point the bottom fell out, like it just.
And that's when Jamie started thinking, is it too late to turn back?
Yeah,
can we pull over?
And I mean, it is pouring. I mean, there's water just,
and we're on a major interstate.
Oh yeah, and trucks are going by,
semis just blazing, and we're. And I'm crying.
And I could hear him in my head saying, James,
it's okay,
crying.
man.
Stop
Be
crying,
a man.
And pull over, I give you a hug.
It was scary, but I was very nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Because
it was blasting. So we ended up going to get it. The rain broke. We ended up going to a little place at the head of the town that's right next to the head.
I forget the name of it.
And we just went to get some food.
Yeah, we stopped at a restaurant there. Nice little town.
And we ate lunch. I had a beer. Didn't want to get hammered before I got on the.
That's right.
Had a beer and we ate. And then I think I called my girlfriend or texted her and said, "Hey, we're getting ready to do this thing." Right. And
I love you. If this is it.
Yeah. So love you, mean it. And Jamie touched base, and we did
with
all
Gracie.
That with Gracie girl.
Yep. Gracie said, "Are you going to mention me?" I said, "Yes," because you were with us a lot of the time.
She got mentioned a lot on our live shows from the tat. Too,
right, she sure did. So hey, Gracie.
But we, so I said, all right, well, let's hit it. We've got a little bit of daylight, and let's just roll.
Yeah.
So we end up.
Now, bear in mind, it had quit raining, but just not long.
Well,
after.
and then it rained again on the way.
Well, I remember as we pulled off, we went up.
We went to get
trail
gas.
And
we went to get gas
right.
right before, and it started raining.
Right, and so that's right. So you head up, and we get. I mean, we're at this, I don't know, some guy in a trailer or something there.
Yeah.
It was very sketchy, real kind of.
Well, and the first turn onto the tat is literally like this dude's driveway. I mean, it's just, and there's like piles of wood on both sides.
It's like his house.
Yeah.
And this is just just all it is just a little road, little mountain road.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we turn on it and we're like, Rank's like, I remember that shit. I remember that. We're on it. We're on the tat, baby.
Because I'd been watching a bunch of tat videos, and so people would say, this is the start. And so I recognized, I was like, and the GPS is telling you.
You're at the start.
Well, that the Montana 680, that thing it's the bomb diggity of GPSs. I mean, that thing is accurate within like 2 feet or something. Yeah. So we get on it, and I say, Jamie, pull upside, and we get a little fist bump, and I'm like, we're doing it. Well, then, I mean, at the start of the tat, it's like straight uphill.
It's like climbing a wall, and it's all this real kind of shale, loose, real like flat, very loose rock.
Slick.
It's not like your white gravel that gets hard, and it's like pavement. This was, I don't know, like
it's
sand.
Loose and it's wet.
Yes. And we're climbing.
So I tell Jamie in the headset, I said, Jamie, just stay behind me at least 150 feet. Because if I go down, I'm going to start sliding backwards, and I don't want to take you out. And then we both go off over the side of the mountain.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good tip.
Yeah, good tip. Excellent tip.
Safety tip.
Don't cross the streams. Anyway.
Yes.
Good tip, Egon.
That's right.
And so... Sure enough, I get to the top, and and it's basically you go up, and there's a switchback, and then you go up, and there's a switchback, and then you go up.
Yeah,
and there's a
imagine you're climbing the side of a mountain, you're just switching back and forth. We're not going around the mountain like this. We're going up the side of it. So there's a little road that goes up, and a hairpin turn back, go up a little way, hairpin again. I mean, constantly for hours we did that.
And it's not wide either. So if you watch the YouTube videos, it's GoPros make things look strangely bigger than they are. You're like, oh, well, that looks like you're on a 2-lane road. You're like, yeah, you might get a Jeep through here. Well, maybe.
And if you're a motorcycle rider, if you're in a basically a straight run, I mean, the bike will just kind of do itself. But when you have to slow to the point you have to make a hard turn, it is all handlebars and right. You don't
feathering the clutch.
You don't get any of the physics of the motion, right? So you're slow enough that it's you, baby. You're controlling the accelerator, and that's right. You had to feather the clutch. So I mean, do I need more or less? But then with the loose gravel, man, I mean, it was nothing to get, and always a sheer 1,000-foot drop to the bottom
edge
of a gorge, death. Right? That was that. We said that phrase more often than not. The EOD, bro. That's the EOD. The edge of death.
Well, because there's no guardrails either.
No,
I mean,
it is just if a 2 foot, if you make a 2 foot error, you will die. You will be dead,
or wish you were dead.
Yeah, you'll be broken to 1,000 pieces. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, after that first day.
Yeah,
I kind of came to grips with it. You know what I mean? I accepted my fate. You
calm down a little bit and go, yeah, I'm okay.
And you get your motorcycle legs.
Yeah,
you kind of get back because I was never a street bike rider. Never rode street bike. I always rode dirt bikes, just full knobbies. So finally, I started to get back into trusting the bike,
right,
letting it do its thing, and. We said this 100 times too. It's technical riding. You have to understand what your bike's going to do in a certain situation,
and not fight the bike.
Right. Let it kind of do what it needs to do, and don't try to overthink it.
Well, you try to start manhandling it when the front wheel starts getting squirrely, but the wheel will generally kick back to the center, but you try not to force it and over-force it and stuff like that. So the first day, it's trial by fire. It's wet. It's nasty. We're going up this mountain, and in my head, I'm literally going, what did I get Jamie into? Because at this point, I understand what I'm involved in, and I've been riding a bit, not a ton of this kind of stuff, but but I thought, man, this guy's got kids, and I'm like,
got something to lose.
Yeah, I got some dogs at home and a girlfriend, and I'm sure she'd be sad, but she'd move on, and but she should be all right. And so I'm like, man, what did I get him into? And like I'm kind of. And I can hear it in his voice a little bit, like he's like, "Oh,
screaming."
It wasn't that bad, but so
I'm sure there was a little quiver. I was like, "Oh, this is great."
So we do a couple, and at each top, he tops the hill, and I can look at him. I'm like, "You good? Yeah, all right." And so I'm like, "Going too fast, too slow, good?" And he's like, "No, we're good." So we kind of worked our way, and so. Because we had gotten a little later start in the day, I was like, hey, why don't let's don't push it today. Let's try to, let's get to somewhere that looks cool. And so we found that river.
And it was so cool. I mean, we just kind of, that was on the trail.
Yeah.
It happened because we were in most of what we did in the first 2 or 3 days was national forest.
It was all national forest stuff, yeah.
And I remember seeing it. It was primitive campsites. There was a sign or something, but all it just had a little number. Here's campsite 12. And you pull up, and what was there?
Usually a rock.
Well, they had like landscape timbers and a little gravel, right? So you just had like a tent pad, but that was it. Somebody had a fire pit there. You could see where they had a round of rocks, which is where we found that little book that saved us. A previous camper had left, I don't know, some kind of Marxist propaganda.
Yeah, it was like
book.
a propaganda book.
It was up in a Ziploc bag with a rock on it. So we sat there and we got a picture of it. You should.
I think I'll look. I've got a picture.
I'm sure you could get it from Amazon, if you want to read it. But it was funny because
we just left it for the next people.
Yeah. We just put it back in the zippy. But that night, that was probably the truest primitive camping that night. Well, no, we had a couple of nights. But that night where we were, but it was beautiful. But that was the first night we had set up our tents and did everything since we had done our shakedown.
And we made a little food and like actually sat there. Did we? We didn't even have any beer that night. I think I just had a little whiskey.
That's right.
With it, I had a little plastic flask that I brought.
Seemed like we'd stopped somewhere and got some little minis.
Oh, maybe we did. Maybe we got some little mini Mick Ultras or something. That was.
Because I had packed a little collapsible cooler, like a soft-sided cooler, so we would stop. That was the thing we figured out on day 2 which is I see next in your goodie bag.
Oh yeah.
Is and I'll save that for you. That was the trick we learned when we. How to stay refreshed on the trail.
Well, here we can talk about that now. We got it. The other thing was this guy. We'll talk about it in a second. We'll put that right there. But
do not start on a trip without one of these babies.
And if you don't know what this is, you probably shouldn't
go on a trip.
But it's a Camelback, obviously. Drink a little water out of these.
Backpack water.
You fill this puppy up. I also, guess what I found in my little bag there?
Oh.
This was my little neck thing that I wore, and I would soak this thing in ice cold water and put it around my neck. And even though it was crazy hot, this
would help.
Yeah, it'd wick the sweat away and stuff too. And so.
Well, what I was going to say is what we figured out was you pack this thing full of ice, and then just top that off. Pack it as full with ice as you can, and then fill the rest with water. And as hot as it was, that would melt throughout the day. But there's nothing less satisfying when you are hot and dusty. Because we're when it finally dried up and it was dry and I, for me especially, because I was always in the back. Rankin had the GPS, so he had to be in the lead because he knew where we were going, right? So I'm eating dust the whole time. So let me tell you how unsatisfying a nice warm pull of water that's been sitting on your back all day is.
That's not an enjoyable thing. But when it's ice cold, it's like. Yes. And we also did that with Wait, where is it? I need to give you this back.
Yep.
This is yours.
That was kind of camp water. That was a sink like we would use when we'd camp.
It's got a little flip out so you could wash your hands, or like we'd hang it up with some carabiners, man, or like.
Yeah, you can't have too many of those.
But we'd wash our hands with this and stuff. And then when Jamie left the trail, he let me
it's like
have his.
It's like 2 gallons, or what is it? 4 liters, 1 gallon.
1 gallon.
1 gallon. I had to write that because I don't. Yeah. Because I'm an American.
No metric system here, kids.
No. This is America.
But so Jamie had one of those, and I had a bag too.
So you get to a campsite and you hang that from a tree branch or something. I think that first night we had it from a bear hook, right? Remember
Yep.
But that way it gives you an access to just some easy water. It's not your drinking water, but it was potable. You could drink it.
Yeah.
You could make your food out of it. I mean, I remember filling up my my camp stove to boil water with this because it was fine. I mean. But yeah, that was a great thing. Didn't take up much room, but when you're talking about, half of your experience here is camping. Well, you got to bring camping stuff.
Exactly.
So
you take that with you. Remember, that's yours.
Yeah, I'll take that
so that's just.
all
right. And here might be the piece de resistance.
Oh, for you fat boys.
There you go. There you go, Jamie. And just turn that baby on. It should be charged up.
Do I know how to work it?
Yeah, you should.
Off.
There you go.
Hey.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so camping out. Oh, it
has a little light.
Dual function.
And so I know this sounds really stupid too. You're like, oh yeah, boy, you guys are just killing it roughing.
Mm-hmm.
It was so hot at night when you'd get in your tent.
You're talking about a muggy, no air moving.
We're talking 100% humidity.
It was like Vietnam.
And you like get in your chair, you're like, oh, it's like the best thing in the world just to have a little bit of...
He and I both, we both have discussed, we are hot sleepers, right? I mean, I have 2 fans going on me. I got my ceiling fan at night. I got a box fan on the floor. I have a gusts of wind blowing on me at night because I just get hot. I sweat when I sleep. So to go outside and sleep outside when it was, I don't know, we maybe got down in the high 70s in the night, maybe. But
the humidity, it was the humidity that was so bad.
But for a fat boy who likes it to be 67 degrees in the room with a wind going over him, that was tough. So this provided just a little measure. I mean, we're not savages.
Well, and that's your
Rankin.
Rankin is, and that's yours too. So
okay,
you can get to keep that. It's like present.
You got all my stuff, bro.
Well, so when
I bequeathed it to
when Jamie left, I was going to be by myself. And so I said, man, would you mind if I took your extra water and your extra fan? And he's like, oh, man, no problem.
Yeah,
also,
I was headed home. I got back on.
Also, those fans are rechargeable.
Yeah.
So which was nice.
We would carry the little battery.
I didn't bring it down here, but the little brick.
But you would, because see, our rigs, our bikes are set up with power, so you could plug in a USB, so you could charge that battery brick while you're riding all day long, and then at night at camp, you could turn around and charge your phone, charge your. Rankin had the cameras, the drone stuff, so we were able to provide our own power. So, like I said, we were camping, but we still had a few little modern luxuries.
Yeah, and we kind of packed all that into what was important to run and stuff, and this was something that I was insistent on it, but my girlfriend, when she found out about it, she was like, if I have to buy it, I will. And I said, no, I'll buy it. She
insisted that you have it. Well, that was smart to have.
Because this is a Spot Gen 3 locator. All right. So basically what happens is you turn this puppy on, and there's no batteries in it right now, but you turn it on, it gets a satellite signal, and then basically what it'll do is it will drop breadcrumbs basically as you ride, and people can watch it in real time. So like my girlfriend and my brother would watch it, and then at night there's a button right here that looks like a little text message, and I could push that because a lot of nights we didn't have any cell service, so there was no way to communicate that we were okay.
But this was straight to the satellite.
This straight satellite, yep. And so as long as you had access to get to a little bit of clear sky, you could hold down this button, and it would send a text that I had pre-written in the computer that would say, we're at camp, we're safe, everybody's good, just no cell service. Because if we had cell service at night, we'd just text and say, whatever. And then there's another button right here that says, okay, with a check mark, and so you can do a message under that one too. So in the morning I would hit that one. It would say we're back on the trail, we're moving, we're good. Mm-hmm. And so when you move this and activate it, it starts actively tracking you again. So
and there's the oh shit button.
Yes, and then so if you get in real trouble, and let's say Jamie went down, I went down,
why
got
me?
hurt. No, I'm saying if either one of us went down.
Let's say Jamie went down, which is most likely.
Actually, nobody dropped a bike during the whole trip, so let's just say that.
That's right. Hey,
come on now.
That was something.
But let's say that I had a bunion that got out of control, and I had to be rushed to the emergency room. Anyway.
Anal canker.
Yeah, exactly. You pull open this flap, and you hold this SOS button for 5 seconds. And when you do that, that brings the cavalry. Yeah. That's helicopters and whatever. And so
National Guard.
Yep. Whatever. And you have to put in all your allergies and whatever and all that kind of stuff, so if you're unconscious when they find you. And so this will keep sending out a beacon. So this, if you're going to do the TransAmerica Trail or you're going to do the AT, hike the AT or whatever, get one of these. It's worth it. I don't like the new version that they just came out with because it doesn't allow you to change the batteries. It's recharge only. Mm-hmm. This one was great because you put lithium batteries in it, and those one set lasted the entire 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I think I actually changed them I didn't. When I got home, I tested them, and they were still super. They were fine. So having extra batteries, and because if you were out in the middle of nowhere, I kept extra batteries on the bike that I could have plugged in here, but I would have had no way to charge it once the brick went dead.
It goes back to the original thought: this is not a trip you just plan on a whim,
right?
This is a thinking person's trip. You plan accordingly, and you make smart decisions, and something like that. I mean, if you got the finances to invest in all this other stuff, don't get weak.
Tell me how you feel about these.
Ooh, they're my favorite.
Now, before I do this, these are brand new. This is nothing.
Oh,
this has never been used. There's nothing. So these were some things I had gotten from another project that I was working on, and had some prototypes.
Anybody want to guess?
I can't give away my secret, but no. So what we used them for?
It's a urinal. When you're in a tent at night, the last thing you want to do is crawl out and step out of the tent.
Yep.
And walk somewhere or whatever. Here you can just get on your knees. Well, if you're a dude.
And they fold flat. So I had about 1,000 of these here at the house, and so I ended up giving Jamie some, and I had some because they fold up super easy, and you can find different stuff like this.
I had one that was just for water. It was
it was a small water.
It was meant to be a water bladder,
right?
Collapsible thing, but I used it for a urine.
Yeah,
and I would fill it through the night and dump it and rinse it out the next day. And
I know this sounds gross, but at the same time, if it's also pouring down rain and you don't want to get out and it's just, again, creature comfort, not a necessity, but boy, it sure makes life so much nicer and easier. So.
YouTube anybody who's camping and they have some method to urinate in the middle of the night. Oh yeah. Shower.
Yep. Shower. Here's your shower
in
right
a bag.
There.
That's right.
So these are large biodegradable wet wipes.
Like hand towel size.
Yeah, they're big. I can't remember what size these are. They're pretty big though. 8 by 12. Yeah. So it's a piece of piece of paper size, but make a world of difference.
If you can't shower, at least you can hit as we called it back in the old days, a hoe bath. You could hit the dirty spots, right?
There she is.
Yeah. That's what kept us on track.
Yep, there's my Garmin 680. This puppy, fantastic. It also has a camera in it, and when you take a picture with this camera, it logs the GPS longitude and latitude. So you could get back to somewhere if you were hiking or something and you were like, oh, hey, or if something happened and you took a picture and then you were able to send that, they would know exactly where you were, all that kind of stuff.
The only shortcoming of this, and it's not a shortcoming of this, it's just it's an adventure part of this thing is that thing won't tell you if a tree has fallen over the road.
Yeah, right.
Or if the Forest Service has closed the gate and that's not a passable road, you can't go that way.
Yeah.
And you have to backtrack and figure out a way to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was part of the adventure.
Exactly.
Right. That's the thing that was kind of cool about it is this was not I mean, we had a general idea where we were going,
Yeah.
But sometimes you had to think on your feet. You had to use your wits.
And the other reason I love this system and why I went with this system too was you can put regular batteries in here. The rechargeable's in it right now, and it's easy to charge. Got a little flap, and it's all waterproof and everything.
As you packed a few extra
but
batteries.
If you have some extra batteries and for some reason that main battery goes dead and something happens, you can always put other batteries in it. So that does make a big difference.
Batteries.
I got a bunch of stuff, and all of this won't come out, but I was trying to find stuff.
Some of the things that were major in our...
This kind of were... Tell people what that is, Jamie.
That's just your little gas that you hook your tiny little camp stove on. The camp stove, all it is just a little 3 or 4 prong deal that will screw into the top of that. Just enough that you can set a little pot on it. But it's hot, man. It'll boil.
Hold on, we can do a demonstration. It's in here. Yep.
You're gonna make fire?
We can make fire. If I'm talented enough to get this out of the actual...
all right, so here's a recreation of it. Okay.
Now, this is going to be real boring to a lot of people that came and aren't interested in the TAT, but this
you can fast forward.
Yeah,
But those of you who are planning a trip and are clueless like I was...
This is a GSI Outdoors. This came from REI.
Really cool. I have one just like it. Really good little set because you got a pot, you got a bowl.
Hey, look, I already got fuel in here. Oh, that's a full.
Where's your stove? Oh, here, right here.
Yeah, stove here, and there should be a lighter in here somewhere. There was. Oh, I must have taken it out.
Aw.
Okay, I lied. No fire. But anyway, what you do is basically this little guy right here gets twisted onto this little guy right here.
And this little thing full of water sits right there.
There you go.
And you got fire.
Now, that's where the table came in handy, because if you're trying to set this up
in
mud.
Bending over a belly, trying to do that. Yeah. So the table was a very nice luxury that didn't take up a whole lot of space.
No,
time.
it was very good. So,
and a little bowl, just a little plastic bowl.
Yep. I made oatmeal.
But I think I ate out of my the bag.
Most
of the time. Well, I didn't serve it up. Now you make coffee.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
You're never going to be as happy as these people, right?
Yes. So, yeah. And that's another group. There's another group of the.
There's somebody else.
These are happy.
So, look, what Jamie and I would do a lot of nights is we'd make up backstories.
Yeah. Well, there's another one. There's another bag. Same company, but it's a different picture of different people. And I don't know. Yeah, it's probably a little too mixed company to tell on this. But these things, if you've never seen them, you tear it open and you fill it up. It's got a little line. You fill it up with boiling water, and it'll tell you, and let it sit for 4 or 5 minutes or whatever. And you seal it, and all the stuff will just rehydrate. And you open it up, and it is hot and steamy and good. And it's like, this is apple crisp, so it's like a dessert.
Those are little desserts.
But they would have, I like chili mac. They'd have. What else? They'd have lots of breakfast ones, different kind of things, scrambled eggs.
All my other ones are actually up there in my panniers where we were going to do
the interesting people.
Yeah, the interesting people are in the other one, but
yeah.
So I don't think there's much left in there that was.
I think you hit some.
I hit some of the.
You hit the good stuff.
But
well, I'll tell you a funny thing. This goes on one of your.
It's fine. I think that one's mostly empty.
So let me tell you, when you're camping like this. Sometimes bathroom facilities are not always readily available.
Wait a minute.
Are you bringing out your bathroom facility?
Hold on, I got a bathroom in here somewhere.
Dig out the toilet.
Oh, I got a bathroom.
Here it is. There's the toilet.
There we go. I knew.
So let me tell you, there's a difference between Rankin and I. I mean, I'm sure there's several.
Many differences.
I'm sure there's several, but this one for sure. When we talked about going on this trip, I'm not a savage like him. Rankin's an Eagle Scout. He is accustomed to doing real kind of camping like this. Now, the camping I did was at campgrounds, where there'd be a bathhouse up here where you could go and shower and use the bathroom. There'd be a camp store, stuff like that. I never did real hardcore camping. Well, so this was Rankin's bathroom. He would dig himself a little hole like a cat, and he would squat like a baseball catcher and do his thing right in the ground. Not I.
Should we be telling this?
Oh, it's too late now. You can always. It's not live. I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
You know what? It's fine. It's all good. And the beauty of this baby, this is the deuce of spades.
Not the ace.
That's what it's called.
The deuce. Yes.
It's the deuce of spades, and it weighs 0.6 ounces, 17 grams.
Well, my potty was a little heavier, so I bought. It's still very collapsible, like some of these chairs and the table and stuff. It's just a little canvas thing that pops out. It's like a tripod, but it's this little seat, and it comes with a special kind of bag that you can put your whatever in there, and it's double lined, but you can sit down like a human and empty your bowels.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Then you seal it up, and you can't see through it. You put it in the garbage and you dump it the next time you find a trash can. So that was, all right, yeah, we had tables and we had chairs and fans, but I had to have that. Because the first morning,
that was your big luxury.
Rankin's an early riser, so I slept in because riding the trail, it's very physically tiring.
Keep talking. I need a drink
after that. Yes, I bet you do.
You're welcome to have one with me.
Yeah, go ahead. I want some of that ice in there, though.
We're going to do a little gentleman jack, and
but that first morning we camped by this really beautiful.
I'll let you pour yours. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's a lot of whiskey.
Oh, that's nice. Just reminiscing. So
yes, the drinks bring back the memories.
We're having gentleman jack, and so Jack Daniels, if you'd like to send me some of that.
For free, we'll continue
I'm
to
not going to
complain.
It. That's right.
But Rankin had gotten up early that first morning after camping, and if I remember right, you were just the way God made you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Out there in the wilderness, took a bath in the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And dropped a deuce in the ground.
You have to understand, there's nobody.
Yeah, there was nobody. I mean, it was real deliverance.
Yeah.
Only in the environment, not.
I just heard
he didn't really have a pretty mouth.
If I don't hear banjos, I knew I was good. Now,
that's right.
We were also both packing on this trip,
and I had a gun.
Hey, he'll be here all week, everybody.
Yes, that's right.
He hadn't even had any whiskey.
That's
He's
right.
already. Hey, no, I asked Jamie early on. We're both carry permit guys, and so I was basically like, I'm taking my gun. I don't know if you are, but
you never know what you're going to run into out in the woods.
Well, yeah, and
we had a day that we were glad we had them.
Yep, exactly. Because I'm just watching our electronic equipment. We've had a couple of little weirdness, but it seems to be going okay now. So, can you read that timer?
1 hour and 9.
Nice, we're killing it. All right, so we were. All right, we'll get to that though. But anyway, so we had guns, so we weren't worried. But anyway, yeah. So I actually went to the restroom first and then took a shower.
Right,
I'm not a complete savage,
as you should, because your ass was dirty.
Possibly.
Did you wipe it with the scraper too?
No, Jamie, I did not. I had some Bubba's butt wipes.
Oh, that's right.
So if Bubba's butt wipes is watching out there, I'll take some of those too. They're biodegradable and they are excellent.
Well, so you just put that in the hole. I get okay.
Yeah, it's biodegradable. Yeah. So you're all good.
See, my problem was I didn't want to accidentally lose my balance and fall into my turd hole, and I figured, you just maybe had better balance than me, but
I've been doing it for a while, being an Eagle Scout and camping a lot.
You get a badge for that?
Yeah. No, I don't believe there was a badge for that. But
can you doo-doo in the ground?
Now, I will tell you this. All the people that do the Appalachian Trail will tell you that's how you do it. You don't got any,
Well, I probably the closest I've been, I used a very rustic, in the middle of the woods outhouse.
See, I'd rather not do that because how do I know there's a wasp nest under that?
And what was there was what everybody else had put there.
Exactly.
So it was like opening a septic tank.
Yeah.
It was so nasty.
And how do I know I'm not going to sit on a wasp nest?
So yeah, sitting over your own hole that's clean, that's just dirt, Now maybe if I'd have found a little sapling or something I could hold on to. So I wouldn't fall in.
Yeah.
Just something to brace me.
This has been Poop Talk with Jamie.
You know what? If you're not moving your bowels regularly, you're having a problem.
You're gonna get in trouble on the trail.
Whatever you're doing, whatever goes in, it's got to come out, y'all.
That's right. And some of that camp food is
clogging.
It'll do a little stuff to you, but
it'll hold you.
It was good though. I will say this though, you got to be careful with the camp stuff because it's super high in sodium. So you kind of for us it wasn't a big deal because we were sweating every day, and we were like, I mean, we were blasting through multiple Camelbacks a day and trying to stay hydrated and whatever. But if you're just especially I would say if you're like winter camping and you're not sweating that much and stuff, and you eat a bunch of those, because I mean some of them
puff.
Yeah, some of them are like 900 milligrams of
sodium. And if
sodium.
you're ticker, if you're a sodium salt.
And they make ones that are lower in sodium, so you just kind of have to look. And
they're not good, though.
So, well, I mean, in the Mountain House or the other whatever, I kind of just looked through them and was like, I didn't go for low sodium. I just went for less sodium.
You got bad and real bad.
Exactly.
Let's just go for bad.
All right. So anyway, we were talking about terrain, how it's cool, multiple terrains, and you can get into towns, and there's Dollar Generals everywhere. So there was a couple times I had to get a little Gold Bond powder.
Sort of chafe.
That was after you had left, though, and I was going down to Mississippi. But so I think the most fun day and the most exhausting day we had was the water crossing day.
Yeah, that was it's kind of exhilarating because it's a little scary because you don't know. I mean, you drop your bike on the road. Okay, you get up, you pick it back up. You drop it in a stream
where it goes underwater.
Yeah, now you're maybe at the end of the trip. You've flooded your bike and it's over. You got to get somebody to come in and chopper your ass out of there. But luckily that didn't happen.
No, so we got to our first water crossing, and most of these I knew them from watching videos where I had seen people doing them. And so, of course, I'm first. And so I would kind of try to pick. Now, in my bike, the KLR is a little more off-road capable. It would just say
quite a bit more. And you had the right kind of tires.
Yeah, and I mean, I've got a
little more street
TKC 80s on mine, and they're knobby, and so there were.
And I had TKC 70s.
Yeah,
which is
like a 50-50, 60-40.
I think it was a 60-40. Yeah. People that know tires will know that it's how much tread that the tire has that's more road designed as opposed to off-road. Right. It's got some grab with the knobbies.
Right. And so I picked my lane, which was not.
Was that the first crossing of the day? That one.
Well, yeah, they got better after that. Maybe not the best choice that I could pick. So that.
Well, no, it was a great choice. Now looking back,
So I'd take off and go into the sippy hole, and Jamie's like, "Well, your license plate disappeared."
Well, there's a video of it, but it's from Rankin's perspective, so you can't see it.
I know. I wish you would have had one because I rooster-tailed it out of there.
He was like, well, "Okay, I think I'm going to go to the left here." And he went, roar. And once he realized he went roar, he got on the gas and, powered on out of there. But yeah, he went, I said, I didn't know you had a submarine.
That's and as I jump off the bike, I'm like, don't go that way.
Yeah, that's not what not to do.
Don't do what Ranko does.
So I go about 6 feet.
Yeah, and so I jump off my bike, and I've got my camera, and I'm watching Jamie come across, and he picks this nice little trough where he can go right through, but they were slippery. I mean, but it was still.
It was like slimy, it's just a little creek, so the crawdads.
And then we had a couple more that day that were just much lighter, easier.
Just like kind of rock bottoms, or like gravel bottoms, which went right across. They were.
But we got water all in our boots, though, because it was up high. It was high enough.
Yeah. We wore boots that were probably, I'd come up about midway on your shin.
Yeah.
I mean, they were riding boots, but they were waterproof boots.
But not like motocross up to the knee boots.
But the crossing was deep enough that it topped the
top of the boot
and then filled the boot with water, which that was that day, that night was probably the best camp night.
Oh, it was fantastic. We found this little place in Reliance, Tennessee, and we pulled up. We were both a little bit exhausted. It was still, it's still blazing hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still just
relief.
Stupidly hot. So we pull in under this little awning cover, and I'm like, Jamie, I'm going to.
Little gas station.
Yeah, I said, Jamie, I'm going to go inside and find out if there's camping stuff. I was like, I'm beat for the day. I'd like to let's camp a little early. I mean, it was probably 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock, maybe.
It was early in the day still.
But we had started riding early that day, though, because we rode for probably a 6.5 hour day.
Our morning camp routine was pretty quick. We would get up and have a little breakfast, and then we'd break camp, pack the bikes, and go.
Yeah, I would always make a cup of coffee first thing in the morning. I would try to do like a morning vlog kind of thing. Usually before you got up, I would try to kind of go do something or whatever and just get a little bit and make me some coffee. And then we'd pack up and we had it down to a science after a couple days of like pow, 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 go, boom, ready to rock. And so I walk inside this little store and remember that guy? He's big football player for University of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Big old boy, but young and super nice. And I think he probably hadn't talked to anybody all day. So he could talk.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, is there any camping anywhere close to here? He goes, oh yeah, right out back. I mean, literally right out back, like right through that door.
You see right out there?
I was like, thank the Lord. He goes, yep, there's a little creek right there. He goes, now, if you get them on this side, it costs like $7. If you go on the other side, it's $4. That's primitive. Like literally.
Like you could, like 10 feet over there. Yeah. That's primitive camping. You get it for $4. We'll spring the $3.
We'll Jamie, you got some cash on you? Let's go.
Yeah.
And so that was a great night because we had a little creek that ran through, and we were the only people in the campsite. And so
wasn't the only night we were the only ones in a campsite.
And he opened the bathrooms for us.
Yes.
Which
showers,
was fantastic that night.
You just don't realize how much you appreciate modern convencences like a hot shower.
And how much it'll revitalize you,
it was great. I mean, you put on fresh clothes and you know, we sat there, and the creek that we were right beside, it was a beautiful little freshwater creek. I mean, you imagine everything over in that part of the country. We're talking about East Tennessee, you know, northern Georgia.
Yeah.
But it was all the mountains and just beautiful mountain streams and stuff. Oh, so
clean.
Gorgeous. I mean, that's what I say. That part of the trip, I mean, it was all those national parks.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
You could just drive and just look, you know.
Oh, no, it was great. And so I would do laundry on the back of my bike a lot of times. I would wring out stuff and clean it up, and then I'd just put a bungee across the top box up there and let it flap in the breeze.
Yeah, like a flag. Yeah, that was the day. The next day, I think, that we made it to that mountaintop, right?
That's where we got our cool picture. Overlook. What was it? Mill Creek Overlook or something like that?
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, you're on top of the mountain, so
the picture doesn't do justice for the view.
And I chucked the drone out that day, and we flew it out over the cliff and kind of did that.
There was a lot of people on now that trail. That part of the trail was a lot of Jeeps.
Yeah,
a lot of 4x4s were on that road. People riding up there. That was a little bit more.
But kind of back to what you were saying about the GPS thing too. It was also there was a tree that fell across the road. Remember that one? We had to lower the bikes kind of underneath it to get.
Seemed like we walked them under, didn't we?
To get them.
We couldn't sit on the bikes and get under.
Yeah, and you couldn't cut it in half. It was like this kind of tree.
Something had fallen, in the last couple of weeks.
And so fortunately it had fallen uphill onto this layer so we could kind of get off the road and lean the bikes over and get them under and then keep going. Right. So that, again, was part of the thing where you're like, well, I hope nobody has to come get us. Because there is no...
They're not getting through here.
Yeah, you bring big boys with chainsaws, but even a lot of those roads were too narrow to get anything up there.
I mean, somebody would get to you eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the thing. There was no quick getting to you where we were.
Right.
We were isolated, so somebody could get you. But if your life depended on it, if they need to be there in the next 20 minutes...
Oh, yeah. If you were bleeding out...
You're toast.
If you were bleeding out, you would be in trouble. So, but I'm trying to think. So we did Reliance. We got up the next day, and that was getting close to the day you were getting ready to leave, wasn't it? Wouldn't we have one more day that you were going to be with me?
We had the Roxy night, and then the last night.
That's right.
The last night was at the big RV park after we were about to just park anywhere.
Roxy.
When we were so tired that last day.
Old Roxy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we find this is, I don't know, maybe night 3 or 4.
Yeah, that was a state park.
Right. Found that on Googled it or whatever. We were close enough somewhere. And so that was another a real park. And the lady that was there, the attendant or whatever,
host.
right, she was there. She lived there. And her name was Roxy. And Roxy was a sweet old gal.
She was very sweet. She was very nice to us.
And I think the guy up the hill might have been a regular.
Mr. Wood guy?
Yeah, Firewood Fred.
Who wanted to give us firewood, and it's like 9,000 degrees outside.
We're on the surface of the sun. He wants to make a campfire.
I was like, sir, that wood may catch fire in your hand. Be careful.
So there's things to be said about that, but probably not in this venue. But anyway, that was again, it goes back to some great memories. You meet some people, and that's the thing you got to be open to. If you're going camping or doing stuff like this where they're going to possibly other people, you got to be cool with just meeting strangers.
Oh yeah, because people are going to come up to you and want to look at your bikes and
right. We were an anomaly there, right?
Yeah,
there were some families there and some other people that were just had campers, and here we roll up looking like this and dressed the way we were. I mean, we looked like something out of a magazine, because I mean, you're in full
and the bikes are dirty
gear, and we're covered in dust. I mean, we looked like we had just cruised the Sahara or something. If anybody has seen Long Way Round,
or Long Way Down,
that was sort of your inspiration. And then once I started watching, I was like, hell yeah, that seems awesome.
Well, that is what got me in. There's plenty of people out here that will know that have watched that.
Ewan and Charlie inspired a lot of adventure riders.
Absolutely they did. And so that kind of got me inspired to like, man, I want to do some of this stuff. I don't want to just talk about it. I want to actually get out and do it. And so as the trip would progress, it was great because we get up in the mornings, we get our headsets going, and we could talk. We could just, talk about the trail and what was going on that day. And then
Big Rock.
Yeah, Big Rock.
I said, watch that Big Rock. Boonk. I'd hit it anyway.
Or you'd hear a Big Rock clink off the bottom of my pan. It go tonk. You'd be like, I heard that one.
Yep. I know where that dent came from.
Exactly. Yep. And so, and we would just get in our mode of talking and working and stuff, but it's still at the same time as I'm riding, because you're standing up riding a lot of the time.
Ass hurts.
And you would, I'd call out hazards as I'd pass them. I'd be like, big hole to the left. Oops, I ran right over it. Don't go over it.
Well, it got to be after that first day or two when it was really rainy, it got really dry. So it was everywhere we went, it was dusty. So I got to where I was riding pretty far back because I had my face shield down to try to block the dust, but hell, I couldn't see.
Yeah.
So, if I needed enough time for the dust to settle just enough behind you that I could come through it and still see and get some wind on my face.
Plus we couldn't ride.
Did I mention it was hot?
Yeah. I mean, we couldn't ride side by side.
No.
Just way too dangerous chips to even do that. No Ponch and John.
No, that would have been wrong.
Well, and it's just too narrow in spots.
We did that a couple of times on the road, on that rainy day. We were kind of riding
staggered. But when it's rocky like that, you can't even do that because if you fall down, you're going to get run over.
You just need a little room to maneuver. Because I mean, riding like this is sometimes it's split second decision making. Because you'll come up on something because the terrain is unpredictable.
Ever changing, let's put it that way.
So you got to, got to be.
Well, especially like North Georgia, we ended up you'd go from like gravel to hard packed dirt to kind of loose dirt to kind of muddy, then back to So it was kind of weird. Remember that? What was the day we were like literally on pudding? Remember that day it was so wet and muddy, and they were grading the road?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what it was. The road would have been fine, but they had a road grader. They were trying to resurface the road, which would have been fine if you're a car or a truck. But
and it was so slick. You just felt like the bike was going to squirt out from under you at any second. That's when I was wishing I was on your bike, because it's lower, and I could just drag my feet. Because on this thing, I'm 6'4", and like my feet touch.
Yeah, there would be times you'd be riding with your landing gear out, as I would say it. You're being prepared to, because when anybody rides bikes knows at a over 15 miles per hour, the bike's just going to move fine.
Yeah.
But below that, it's all you, and it's nothing but dead weight, right? So it'll go boom.
And it was, I can't remember, it was so slick. And we were just going down. And the other thing that was funny is we'd be riding for like hours and not see one person. And there'd be like a for sale sign for somebody's house. And
then we came through and there would be like those beautiful houses. We got in that stretch there that it was all these, hundreds of $1,000 homes, or some of those were in there were really nice homes.
And you're like, who lives out here?
How the hell did you get here? Yeah. It took us 4 days to get here. Well, we came the long way.
Yeah. Well, that was when the Cherahalla Parkway. So we got to that.
Well, that was the curvy part.
Yeah.
Right?
And so we started going down it, and I was like, the GPS is saying that we're going wrong. And I'm like, and remember, so we had to loop around. Right. And so we spun around and we come back to the top of the hill, and there's of course a big sign that says motorcycle accidents on this next so many miles.
It was a motorcycle advisory.
Yeah.
I got a great selfie of it.
And so I look and I said, "Oh, I think that's where we're
there's a road right next to it that looked like hell." So this is a great road. This is really nice. I can't believe this is part of the trail.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's not.
Because the GPS, we're talking about longitude and latitudes here. This is not Google Maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right over there.
And so we spend 6 hours and we get to Cat's Deli.
Yeah.
And we go in there to get something to eat, and there's people like, "Oh, you've been riding the Cherahalla?" And I'm like, "Well, sorta, not
on purpose,
not the 1 year." And they're like, "Yeah, well, it took us like an hour and a half or whatever."
Because there are a lot of motorcycle riders that are riding the roads there.
And I'm like, "It took us like 6 hours." Like 6 hours? How did you? I was like, "Well, we went kind of over that mountain and then down this."
Yeah, we took the long.
And they were
way
like,
down.
"Oh, okay, that makes more sense now."
Yeah, because we were riding right in there where as we were sitting there eating that day, tons of motorcycle guys came through.
Well, it's huge. So Keith Foster will be watching this, hopefully. They've ridden it, I believe.
On motorcycle.
Yeah.
Isn't that, where it's not there. It's I'm thinking of the
they've done Tail of the Dragon,
Tail
too.
of the Dragon. That's the one where you can look at all the wipeouts on
that doesn't
YouTube.
even, I'll be honest, that doesn't even interest me.
No, me neither.
Just riding that.
Well, and there was people on all like big ass gold wings, heavy bike. And
that doesn't interest me at all.
Trying to make those hairpins?
Yeah,
no. Because, just seeing some of the pictures, because people will sit up there, the paparazzi will sit there waiting for your death.
Waiting for a Corvette to
Here
hit
comes somebody,
a motorcycle
bloop,
coming the other way.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm good not dying like that. That sounds no bueno.
Let's see. What about that last night? So that was the longest day. Because we were going. Maybe that was the day that we ran into the Manson family.
I think it was.
Because that was part of that. So we're riding and camp. I don't know where we were. We were out in like some farmland and stuff. It was really pretty out there, but just not campgrounds. No camping places around.
That was part of like the North Georgia,
Tennessee.
Because
that's where
section.
I came off. Was at North Georgia, like I don't know what was it, Fort Oglethorpe area somewhere in North Georgia. But we found this one place, and it was a camp. Area. So we ride up there. And we're riding around, and
because they had like horse areas and all kinds
it
of stuff.
seemed perfectly fine. We said, okay, well maybe this. So we go up there, and at the top of this meadow, ridge, whatever, it was sort of a wagon train. They were all circled up of RVs, trailers, campers, and they all looked like they were right out of the 60s or something, right? They were
but some of them were gothy.
Yeah, it was a really strange looking, and they were just.
So we come riding in, I come riding in, and we're like, dun, 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 and it's like everybody's just doing this number.
I mean, everybody stopped. It was like in a movie, like in a horror movie, when the scene just, and everybody's looking at you.
And we're talking, there's like 30 plus people. I mean, it wasn't like 5 people. It was like a whole bunch of, and all of them were like,
and we started talking about how to get to our guns, how quickly can you access your guns.
I was like, Jamie, we can't camp here. These people want to eat us.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they were cannibals. They were some kind of a cult for real. I mean, I really think
it was bizarre.
It was something. They did not look right. This wasn't a church group.
No.
Maybe Church of Satan.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, maybe let's just keep looking.
And we did.
And at this point, it's getting later and later.
And we're starting to get a little worried that where are we going to camp, and so then
we got to the bottom. Well, we kind of came out of that into this beautiful mountain valley.
May I pour another? Yeah. Thank you, sir. May I pour another?
Yes. And so we came out of it on this beautiful mountain valley. Remember that? And it just kind of opened up, and then the road was really nice
because pretty country.
Because we had been on that kind of white packed gravel like they make. It was still very loose, but it was like the larger stone so it kind of pitched you around a little bit. So we got off that, we get on a major road, but then again, there's nothing around there either. I mean, it's farmland. Mm-hmm. And so
you had to live out there to be out there. This wasn't just where people would come to.
You shop a month at a time, get your stuff. But we came down to the bottom of the hill, and track, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it was track 13
Oh, yeah, it was 13.
Ran out. I think it ran out, and I said, Jamie, we got to pull over. I got to load the next track.
We're at a little country store. Yeah, a little store.
Right
there.
in front of the store. So we pull up.
Closed. Nobody's there.
Nobody's there. But Jamie saw a sign. And he says, it says RV park. Isn't that what it said?
Yeah,
but it was only
just a little nothing sign. You would never, I just happened to, what is that? Because it was behind the building. I was just kind of tooling around while he was doing his thing. And I said, but it just looked like a road, just like resident, because you could see some houses, just people live there. So we're like, all right, let's go and see,
So we proceed up this little road, and we top the hill, and there's like 32 RV spots.
Big RV, like Class A, big.
Huge, yeah.
Full hookups.
50 amp hookups.
Like a real RV park.
Yeah.
We're like right here in the middle of nothing.
And a disc golf course. A professional 18-hole.
That's what the RV course was there, was that apparently this was a disc golf course, and they would have, tournaments and whatever. The tour would come through there.
Yeah.
And I guess your disc golf guys are all in campers.
And of course, I didn't have my disc golf bag with
play
me
around.
You
always do bring them on your motorcycle trip.
Exactly. And so I was like, dang it, that would have been fun. But there's nobody around either.
Not a soul. Again, it's like The Walking Dead.
It was a ghost town.
We were, to be in a place that seemed like it was well maintained.
Yeah.
It was.
So anyway, we were talking about, we arrived at this RV park that was in the middle of nowhere, North Georgia. Nobody's around. So we decided we're going to go back down the hill to figure out if we can find a phone number or somebody to call, so we don't get busted up there just free camping.
Right. And the sheriff to roll up on us and say, what are you doing here?
So halfway down the hill, you actually were in front of me. You had gone on down.
Some lady was.
And so there was a lady in her driveway. So I thought, well, man, it's worth a shot. So I just raised my helmet up because I didn't.
It's like, well, just stay down there. Let me just talk to her for a second.
I said, let me just do the Southern gentleman and try to be, pour on the charm and see if I can figure out what's going on here. So I pull my face mask up because I don't like talking through my face mask because I just think it's rude and whatever. But so I pull my face mask up and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, do you know who runs this park up here? We're motorcycle camping and we need a place to stay, and just, we didn't want to camp up there and get in trouble and whatever. And she goes, oh, honey, she says, it's fine. She says, just go up there. There's a little metal box right under the little disc golf thing. She says, and there's envelopes up there. And if you just want to put a little money in there, that's okay. If you don't want to, that's okay too.
So we put a little.
So we put $20 in it because we were like, thank you. So we called that the spot that my pops designated for us. He pointed us to it.
We were about at our wits' end. We were tired. Yeah. We were exhausted. We were starting to get frustrated. We're starting to make mistakes. You don't have a lot of forgiveness on a bike when you start getting tired and wobbly.
So I remember looking up at the sky going, thanks, Pops. Appreciate that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's it. It's like he just dropped us a bone. Here you go, guys.
The nicest camping spot.
Yeah, it was so pretty. So we didn't camp down in the RV area. We found up on
nice tree.
Up on the hill. There was a couple of trees. It was real shady. I set up my little pooping stool. It was perfect.
He was so happy.
It was nice. I could move my bowels without any kind of.
And so I flew the drone around for a little while and took some pictures of the thing. And that's on the TAT video. If you go and watch on my channel, it has a whole TAT video of us riding and doing all these things. Mm-hmm. And so that night, that would have been the last night. That was the last night because you left the next morning.
We rode that morning. We got to, because it seemed like the trail crossed.
It did, right over the interstate.
We just happened to be right there, and there was a truck stop or something there. We went in and re-iced because I still had 6 hours to ride, even on the highway, to get back to Jackson, Tennessee from North Georgia. So I had a pretty good ride ahead of me as well. But we restocked and adiosed at that point, and I headed back, and he powered on.
I continued on in through Mississippi from there, but it was funny because Kim and I were camping in our RV, and we'd gone to Ocoee, Tennessee, to a winery there doing the Harvest Host thing, and then we were coming back through, and we went under that underpass.
So the last time I was here,
and I said, that's where Jamie and I said, I know it is. I'll never forget it. And so it was this great little truck stop, gas station kind of thing. And so I loaded up with ice, and Jamie gave me his water bag and fan.
Yep.
And I packed as much water and stuff, and we gave each other a hug, and I said, appreciate it, and be careful, and let me know when you get home. And then I took off, and that was kind of scary, I'll be honest with you. It was a little, because there was some times I'm riding by myself.
Do you regret having done that?
No.
Keeping on solo?
No, because I was kind of talking to my pops a lot during that time, and just kind of being quiet. Like, I didn't even play music in my helmet. Like, I just
let the wind
I just kind of rode. Like, I just, normally when I'm riding, I'll throw some Rush or something in my helmet and just, but I didn't even do that. I was just kind of more like paying attention to the road and just, and crazy that day, I did like 4 or 5 water crossings.
Right.
I was like, dang it.
I should have stayed on one more day.
Dang it. He would have loved it because they were nice. They were only like this deep, but they were like nice, rocky, like
fun, just to
like
splash
pebble
through.
Rocky gravel. And you could just blow through them and watch the fish scatter as you went across them. So and then so the first night of that, I camped. Well, I was going to camp at this. I couldn't find anywhere to camp. And
camped at a hotel one night.
Well, that was after I was off the tat, but that was a good one. But I called this place, and sure enough, it was like one of those like trailer park camping kind of thing. And I rolled up in there. I was like, yeah, my bike will be gone by morning. There ain't no way I'm staying here. Yeah, so
keep rolling.
So I looked on the map, and Pickwick wasn't too far. And that was fantastic. It was a really nice campsite, like RV camping kind of thing. And so that was cool. I got to roll in there, take a shower, actually get cleaned up. And then I guess I rode 1 or 2 more days. And then I decided I wasn't going to go into Arkansas by myself. And then I had some friends that I'd met online that were like, well, if you come to Arkansas, like I'll ride with you and stuff. But I didn't feel safe enough to get from where I was into Arkansas. They said it had been very wet and just a little treacherous. And I thought, I hadn't gotten injured yet. I don't want to get injured now. So,
well, and I tell you what, I think that is wisdom for anybody who's considering ride with a partner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think number one, it's even though maybe individually some solitude is good, but
I wouldn't have wanted
the trip was so much more fun. Yeah. With somebody you could talk to about it and remember, because you're talking about remembering being at certain places. I mean, I can see some of it just as clearly as if we were sitting there right now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's part of what it was. I mean, it was an experience, and this is where it gets into the spiritual part of this. I said a reason to do this, not just for the adventure, but I mean, it challenges your mind, your body, your soul. Because I mean, you get to those points where you're tired and you're struggling, but you keep going, right? So you find some of that oomph
absolutely.
in you. And then there are times you're sitting there going, man, this is so beautiful. And I can't believe I'm standing at the old Mill Creek lookout, and look
and
look
you're
at
way
this.
away from
look
home.
At this. Yeah,
and you're kind of like,
I can't believe that I'm here doing this. And it's one of those things that you can't just get at Disney World or whatever, which that's a great trip too, but I'm just saying this is something totally different. So if you have the means and you have the interest,
absolutely, or if it's not this,
whatever your thing is that you're holding off on not doing because you're waiting. Well, it's just not the right time, or I don't have enough money to whatever. Save up some money, bro. What are you waiting on?
And
what point in life will it be time?
It won't
do
ever
this?
be perfect because
make it happen.
It's like I said when people were like, why are you doing this now? I'm like, well, because when I'm 80, I won't be able to pick that up if it falls over. Right. I mean, there's certain things that you got to do when you can do them.
Hopefully, those of us that have reached, we're in our late 40s, early 50s, hopefully you have collected a little money and maybe your kids are just about gone or they're already moved on. And now you got time, man, and your body's you're at that perfect time where you're old enough that you're wise enough to do some things,
not to do dumb stuff,
and know how to enjoy yourself, and you've got a little money that you maybe can do it. But I tell you what, I wouldn't take it back for nothing. I mean, it was really good, and I mean, developing a friendship, a deeper friendship out of it.
Absolutely,
I mean, that was the best thing. But so whatever it is your thing, if you're on the motorcycles or whatever, just do whatever it is that you said, man, I've always thought I would like to, whatever. Find a way to do it, bro. What are you waiting on?
So that's pretty much our tat story. You can go watch that video of, it's just a montage. It's just got music and us riding and whatever. There's some talking in it, but it's mostly just montage and music. So his bike, the KLR 650, go check them out if you want. KLRs you can get now. You can get a used KLR that's like in great shape for $3,000, $2,800, $2,000. I mean, they're in all ranges you can get, and they're super capable. I'm sure your bike new was not that expensive.
No, so you could buy it. Yeah. If you had, I don't know, I'd say overall, if you bought a used bike, I bought my bike new. I'm in a business where I could have bought it that way, but I don't know, if I'd say with the outside of the bike, just the gear, it's probably $1,500 I probably spent.
Oh yeah.
Between,
I would say that's
buying probably the most expensive would have been the riding gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to buy a decent helmet, not just some, get some, do a little research and buy a good helmet. That's
figure out how much your brain is worth.
Well, you see these people ride around and I and they're cool looking, but the thing that's just the skull cap, I said, okay, but what if your face is ripped off?
Yeah.
Right. When you crash and there's no protection for this.
Yeah.
Okay. Your brain is in totally good shape, but now you look like whatever.
Yeah.
Your jaw's been ripped from your face.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do this, maybe that's okay. If you're just a straight street rider, because you're not going to be.
I still can't. I used to ride with those little. I've got a couple in here. I used to ride with them.
It's cool looking, but
I just don't. The
idea is that it's to protect you.
I've seen too many people go down and just have horrific stuff that I'm just like, you know what? You can call me a dork all day. I don't care. That's the other beauty of getting some age on you and some knowledge.
Hopefully wisdom.
I don't care if people don't like my super bright yellow jacket.
Look like a bumblebee going down the road.
I don't care because you'll see me.
That's right.
And you won't hit me. And
that's what I care about.
Yeah, that to me is
think of me.
way more, exactly. I don't, that to me is you got to be your own person and do your own thing and not worry about everybody else and all that crap. So I do have a full unload video for this bike that I did after the tat. And I also rode the Natchez Trace Parkway from Natchez, Mississippi, all the way up to Nashville, 444 miles. And so I did a full breakdown of all that. I didn't wash the bike. I didn't do anything. I just took stuff off of it as it were packed at the time and did a little thing. So you can watch that. I don't want to run too much longer because we're blowing through the time here and we've got a lot of glitches. So it may be weird for me to edit. So we'll see. But I do want to talk about one other thing. Jamie just got a camper.
Hey, yes.
So
that's my next toy.
I have a camper. He's following me. No.
Yes.
We had talked about it and he was like, man, I kind of want to get into this. So how did you get into that?
Well, it was the same kind of thing. It's funny how some of the things that you've been doing.
Well, we have similar likes.
Yeah, similar interests. And I said, so those are things that, like I said, I grew up riding motorcycles and going camping. And so I've gotten to the point now, while I enjoyed the kind of camping we did on this trip, I think I would enjoy camping with a little bit more of the niceties of modern life.
Trust me, I love my toy hauler.
Yeah, so well, and this is something that I hope Gracie will come along with me on some trips. It's not a big camper, but it's plenty big. That's got it's got a kitchen and a bathroom and all that. But so we can hit some state parks, do some hiking. Just sit out and read a book, veg out, just throw up the hammock and just enjoy being outside. So while she's still got a few more years at home, I want to be able to, throw a new fun thing instead of just sitting around the house all the time.
Absolutely, man. Get outside, do something,
Yeah. And so, we had been talking about that. And so I started shopping. I started looking around in Jackson. There's a couple of RV stores. And so I found one actually that was online that they didn't have in stock at the lot. And I said, I really kind of like this floor plan. I like this layout. And he said, well, look, they've got one somewhere in Indiana. He says, so we'll get it hauled down here. And, so okay, I'll put a little deposit down. I said, no, I'm not buying it. This is just to let you know I'm serious about looking at it. And, so they brought it in and I said, yeah, this is exactly what I want. It's not huge. It's
like
compact.
a bunk. It's a bunk model,
It's a bunkhouse
right?
type. Yeah. It's got a queen bed and it's got a place for 2 bunks in the back. And so but it's got a toilet and shower and a little kitchenette. It's all we needed. Because this is not going to be, we're not going to be cross country camping in this. It's going to be weekend camping. A couple of nights. So anyway, yeah. So I went ahead and I got that. And so we've been in the process of getting it fixed up and ready. So we've got our maiden voyage coming up here in a couple of weeks, first weekend with Rankin in the gang. So
my brother camps too. They've got a beautiful Airstream. I'm not quite into that category. I've got me a little toy hauler that I can put a golf cart in the back of, or motorcycles or whatever. We usually just take the golf cart for going up to state parks and stuff like that. But I was happy that he got into it. We got into it because my brother got into it, and I thought, well, that'd be fun to camp with my brother, and because my brother and I, Doug, and I have a great relationship and stuff, and so I ended up bringing my camper to our class reunion, because I was the president of my high school class, and so I kind of needed to be there a lot, but I also thought, well, we might be partaking in some drinkage and whatever, so I thought I'm going to be there multiple days, so I was like, I think I'll just take my trailer. So
you rolled in on like a Friday night, right? And it was a whole weekend deal.
And set up and back in Sam Bryant there at Sam Bryant Distillery in Jackson. Phenomenal distillery, super nice dude. And that's where we had our reunion. He said, yeah, man, just go park out back. Well, now he's a Harvest Host member. So if you're part of Harvest Host, you can camp there. You can take your trailer and go camp for free there. And so just... I always ask that you patronize the place that you camp, go buy some stuff. But so I kept my camper there all weekend, and it was hilarious how many people came back there and were like, dude, this is a great idea, and it was really fun.
There was a couple other had come back and they had rented an RV or something.
Yeah, so they did that RV share thing where they bring and set it up for you. And
so that was really cool and a great idea. And I'll tell you what, the real thing that spurred me was I got a text or something from Rankin said, me and Keith Foster have decided you need to get an RV.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, y'all decided that. Okay. And I said, well, that was, once again, that was one of those little things that kind of said, well, why not? Why don't I go get an RV? I've said, if I can stand to do it, and if it turns out I don't use it like I think I would,
turn around and sell it.
Sell that joker back, and find whatever the next thing is. I don't think that's going to be the case, but what's the loss? So the moral of the story is, if you can, I'm not saying go out and do something crazy and get a second mortgage or do irrational or irresponsible stuff. I'm saying, but if you can, and you're just finding kind of, they're okay excuses, but they're not really good excuses to not do something, bro, try it. Just
stop making
challenge
the excuses
yourself,
and just go like, I think I'm going to do this kind of stuff. And I think like with Keith and Stephanie, they've found with their kids, it's a great thing. Like they get out and they actually go do stuff and they do
Put
things.
Put the phone down.
Well, and I think like a lot of people, like I know with Keith, and I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning, is they were riding motorcycles a lot. Well, you can't do that with your kids.
Yeah.
Right. And so they were kind of like, hey, wait, this is something where our kids can come along with it. And I know Stephanie's fallen in love with it because she's always, whenever we get a trip together, she'll be like, hey, who wants to come, join
that's great. I mean, if you can plan far enough ahead that you can get your campsites together, and you can all just sort of caravan like the Manson family did up there. I mean, they seemed like they were having fun anyway, they were eating human flesh.
Fortunately, we didn't get killed by them, so that was good. But
that's right.
But yeah, so all in all, like I said, Jamie and I've had a great time doing the motorcycle stuff, and then prepping for it and all that was fun, and just the whole like pre-camp, and then we actually got to do it, and we're going to try to get back on at some point. Right now, Jamie's got stuff where that's not like perfect timing for, but
it's difficult to find the
but
time.
We've already got the equipment and the thing, so we're going to do it. We just got to find a little time and maybe do some shorter trips, maybe just a weekend ride here and there or something, and meet maybe at a campsite somewhere or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then we're going to do our camping. So we'll maybe have you back once you get into camping a little more with the
3 weeks at Natchez Trace will be the maiden voyage, so we may have something to share from that.
We might have to do a Facebook Live or something.
Look,
what?
right,
actually, there's almost no cell service there. So
we can compare Doug's RV to mine.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. His Airstream is so stinking. It's beautiful, and it's put together like a I mean, it's just.
Oh, well, I went and did a little YouTube of a tour of some of the newer Airstreams in there. Yeah, it's home.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, so nice.
Well, guys, thank you for being here with us. I've had a good time doing this.
Yeah, thanks very much.
If you guys have any questions, put them down below about the bikes. We can answer that kind of stuff. We can tell you camping gear. A lot of it's already on my channel, so if you want to go back through there and kind of look at stuff. But other than that, I think we're just going to hang out and maybe go have some dinner here in a little bit and just goof off. So
keep chilling.
We'll see you guys later.
Peace
have a great
out.
one.